Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Mic Drop with me, Mike Turner, Director of Development and Integration at Gap Relief. Today we have on the show co-founder and co-executive director Amy Butler, sharing with us about Gap Relief's work in the protector sector. It doesn't rhyme just to have fun. It actually is all about our protectors, our law enforcement, our fire and first responders. Gap Relief does a lot of really cool work in this space, and I am excited to get into it with Amy and learn more about it. Amy Butler, thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that. It's one of my favorite topics.
Love it. So I'm envisioning you're a therapist. You've got to attune to these people. They walk in the door. Are you or are you not wearing a fake mustache, maybe some aviators?
That is a brilliant idea. I have not thought of it yet, but I'm going to get on it.
You're going to use it.
Can you hook me up with props?
Finder's fee. No, just of course, understand you got to attune to them. I'm curious though, you do a lot of work with law enforcement, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Get out of jail free cards. Are they real?
Oh, no.
And how do I get one?
No, right?
Yeah.
I actually asked that in a training one time, and they were all like, they were like playing around at it, and I was like, oh yeah, get out of jail free card, and they all of a sudden went, nope, not allowed.
Not a real
I was
thing.
like, okay.
Not a real
just kidding,
thing.
guys, just kidding.
Sorry, Chuck, not a real thing. Last question, and then the interview will be over. I'm just kidding. Who would win in a fight? A police officer, a firefighter, or a therapist?
Oh.
Answer carefully.
Ooh.
Or you could plead the fifth.
I'm going to plead the fifth.
Oh, all
Yeah,
right. She's
yeah.
going to
Friends with
worm
all,
her
friends
way
with all
out
three
of it.
sides. But
All right.
that would be a fun fight. That
All
would
right,
be,
viewer,
yeah.
you listen in today and you decide who wins that fight. In all seriousness, the work we do with the protector community is really cool. I'm excited to let you have some space to kind of get into it. Gap Relief, we are a trauma care center, a lot of trauma in the protector community. I would love for you to just kind of open the floor to tell us about the work we do with them, how we support the protector community.
Yes. So we identify them as one of the most trauma impacted sectors in our community. And without our protectors, our communities would not be able to thrive and be resilient in the way that we want them to. And so, as I've leaned in to get to know them and just studied their terrain, and as they have trusted me in their world, we've shown up for critical incidents and helped them debrief. And we have shown up to do trainings and all these things. And so in these places, we have just really appreciated their hearts and why they do what they do, and then the major difficulties that they end up experiencing because they're stepping into these battles. And so trauma levels end up being high there, and often with not enough support. And so we really are not okay with that gap, and we're doing everything we can to learn their terrain and apply what we have learned as trauma therapists to whatever can help them. So it's an ever-growing learning reality. We don't go in knowing. We go in very curious and wanting to learn and then create things that actually help them.
Yeah, it feels like a really like heavy, hard-hitting kind of lifestyle and area. Is there specific training or support that Gap Relief undertakes in and of themselves to kind of prepare the team to be in that space?
For sure. So specific to law enforcement, we want our clinicians to lean into cultural competency training around all things first responder. And so it's just unique. Like, you cannot fully help a first responder unless you really are understanding their unique terrain of their career. It's just quite different than any other career. And so a cultural competency is very helpful. We do ride-alongs and things like that so we can get more in their world. And it's not just them coming into our world, into a counseling office. We are going out into their world. And so also training-wise, any gold standard trauma training is what we push as a clinic, just as a trauma unit in general. So we're doing brain spotting and internal family systems and EMDR. And so all of these trauma models are what is the how of how we take care of them. And so that's what makes us strong as a medic, if you will, in the scene, so that when they come to see us, we feel like we can hold that space and be strong for them.
Love that. I've had a few conversations with some of our team around this sector and how we support them, and it sounds to me like it's an interesting sector from the perspective of maybe what we typically think about as therapeutic, maybe even coping mechanisms, or kind of how you walk that out. Maybe feels very different in this sector. The idea that police officers, first responders, have to do a lot of compartmentalizing of really intense trauma that they experience, and then, okay, go back to your job now. Go to the next one. Go to the next thing. How does our team approach that type of reality differently than maybe a typical client?
Absolutely. So when we do these cultural competency trainings, we learn the value of compartmentalization. So they need to be able to go out into their job and dissociate from the horrible things that they see, and to stay in a command position. And so we do not want to take that away from them. In fact, we help them to see what is the difference between when you're over here with us doing your trauma care work and then you're over here doing your job. And so we help them feel safe to take a healing journey by them feeling the safety, like, hey, I still can do this compartmentalization thing. We're not just trying to get that to go away. In fact, that's very necessary for their job.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Before we wrap, would there be anything else you'd like to share as you've worked with this sector, and maybe that the average citizen in Northwest Arkansas or around the U.S. might not think about when they think about the lives of these people that are working to try to take care of our community?
Yeah, they're brave. They have big hearts as a general rule. And the ones I've met, and just the impact on their nervous systems. You know, we all have a nervous system. We all use our nervous system to work through stress and going from stress to rest. And these humans that go into shift work over and over and over again are constantly stepping into high levels of stress. And so it's just really, really hard on their nervous system. And so over years of chronic stress and trauma in their life, they can find themselves into the middle or later parts of their career with full-blown nervous system breakdowns, high levels of anxiety, panic attacks, depression. And it's really hard for them because their makeup as a human is to be brave and strong and to go out there into really hard situations. And so that part of them never changes, but their nervous system does. And so we can get into some pretty scary places there with them, because this is maybe where they can feel suicidal and things like that. Like, what is my worth if I can't go out there and do this? And so they really take on a big impact. So this is why we also, not only are we taking care of them on a one-on-one level in our clinic, but we are also getting into their world and doing trainings, and we're doing consultings, and we're trying to really help the entire system that they work in be more trauma and human informed, where they're taking into account trauma impact and nervous system impact in the job, because we want to help them not have that reality. We don't want them to be, 10, 15, 20 years into their career and really struggling on a nervous system level.
So good. So Gap Relief has a number of formal relationships with some of the departments around town, but if a first responder or somebody in this sector is listening, do we have services if there isn't a formal agreement between a certain department?
Yes, we would love to help you. Yeah, reach out to us. We can help you with getting your people to the right kind of therapy. We can help your whole system, like have plans where it's sustainable within the system, where you only need us when it's an emergency, and we can help your system be able to hold more of these things. So we are here to help for sure.
I love that. That's awesome. Thank you for this work that you're doing for our community, and thanks for joining us on the show today. If you're listening and you're curious about these services, first and foremost, thank you for the way you serve our community. If you or your family are a part of the sector, we are grateful. If you want to know more, have conversations, questions about what we do to serve our protector community, feel free to reach out to us. You can find our contact information on gaprelief.com or find us on social media. Thanks for watching today.